I feel as much or more in control now in my talk classes than I did when I was up on the podium uh, directing the class and having all eyes in the class on me. And in a sense, the pressure is off the teacher uh, in a way, because the student's attention is not on the teacher, but it's on each other and what they're doing.
Well, I suppose that must be a question that's been posed by people who are used to a really a well-defined role of a teacher, and as a person who probably lectures about the English language to the students. And control for that person, I would think, would be a loss of perhaps moving away from a certain level of conformity to the teacher's wishes. You know, really, when I look at what I would really like to do with students, I mean, I don't worry about there being a lot of conversation or different things going on in the class, just so long as the students are really engaging themselves with the language and with each other. I'm fine with that.
That may be the fear initially that people have, and it may be one reason why a lot of teachers, pardon me, are afraid to let go, because they feel I haven't lost control. In fact, through the 4 or 5 years I've been using it, I have queried the students to find out, how they felt, and each year I get some different responses. The first year I did it, they had way too much freedom, and they told me so, which I thought was odd, but I was happy to get the reaction. So I sort of tightened it a little bit and made it more structured.
I don't think so. I think in the beginning I was worried about that, and a lot of times, and even now, students sometimes I feel use too much Japanese. They should be speaking in English, and they're not. And I've tried sometimes of playing the game of, well, if you have to speak in Japanese, stand up. When you're sitting, it's only English. Japanese is okay if you're standing, but that hasn't worked either. And sometimes, but if it really gets out of hand, I'll stop and say, hey, I'm hearing too much Japanese. I want English. And then I'll take control and get them motivated and get them back on track, and then I slide into the background again. So I don't think you lose control, no.
If it were a veteran teacher, I think there are different problems that a veteran teacher might face, especially if it's a teacher who is uncomfortable with stepping down from the front of the classroom and moving into the class and working with groups of students, and basically giving control of the learning to the student. And I think there's an important distinction. You give control of the learning to the student, but you don't give control of the classroom to the student. The classroom is still the teacher's, I think.
The thing is, that's great, is that when you're a facilitator, you're free to work one-on-one with students. So yeah, everyone's talking, it's like a cacophony of sound, But if you see some students, so you got to have your hawk eyes on, your antenna out there, and you're scanning around. Oh, Japanese, I zoom over there. Can I help you? Or anything happening here? And you kind of engage the students, and you can kind of work with them. So you're free to actually work with the lower level students and give them more support, because everyone is off taking responsibility and doing their own thing. And that's where the trust comes in. You have to be able to trust that the students will work well in pairs. At the beginning, it takes a lot of training. You have to train your students to do that. And then once you've trained them, you have to trust them to be able to work on their own.